welcome to the Aquarius Weekly Illumination Reading. This is I'm Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I'm Lauren. Hi and welcome. So these readings are meant to engage you with the Triad of Engagement, which focuses on utilizing the three basic core principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation to help illuminate some aspect of your unique, internal, authentic self that needs to be connected to your external environment to allow you to engage with life and better experience your spiritual purpose. All right, Aquarius. So I'm going to pull a card here, an advice card, to engage us with the principle of curiosity. And curiosity is where we get the chance to tap into that place of awe and wonder about what we don't know about life in general, both our external life and our internal selves. This is about breaking down all of those preconceived notions and negative thought patterns towards both our external environment and ourselves, where we kind of step into that place of, well, every time I do this, this happens, or all people who are like this are like this, or every time I do this, every time I engage with this part of myself, this is what happens. We want to break past that to say we can always be surprised by what we don't know. There's always that bend in the road, and the same holds true within ourselves. There's always that part of ourself that we are there to unlock. That part of ourself that we thought maybe was our worst trait ends up becoming our greatest strength. And you know what, guys? I just realized I didn't put my my little microphone back on, so I'm not sure if you were all able to hear me or not. I hope you were. Hold on just a moment. My apologies. I don't want this to be. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this so that it doesn't rub against a bunch of stuff like on my clothes like I've had previously. All right, there we go. Hopefully that's as good as it's going to be for right now. Okay, thank you for being patient with that. Now, Aquarius, when I was sitting with your energy before and shuffling the cards before getting into this reading, I had an intuitive hit, and what I saw was a red balloon. And instantly what this made me think of was that movie, and it depends on how old you are, and I don't know even if they still show this or not, but I remember when I was a child there was this French movie called The Red Balloon, and it was all about a child kind of chasing after this red balloon. And it was interesting. Again, it was very French. It was made for children. But there's this quality, Aquarius, of coming through of almost like this childlike sense of chasing after something that's eluding you. Chasing after something. Now, in that movie, from what I remember anyways, now I haven't seen it since I was legitimately a tiny, tiny child, so this could be totally not the case, but how I remember it was that the balloon was red and everything else was kind of sepia toned or black and white. And so you just, in all the images you saw, the red balloon stood out. And there's this quality, Aquarius, in me thinking about this and that coming in, that there's this element almost of you chasing after something that you feel would bring color to your world, would bring your world to life, but yet, and that the rest of your life is kind of paling in comparison, that you're almost, because you're so hyper-focused on acquiring or catching this thing that you think is going to bring color to your life, you've lost sight of the beauty that's just within your life at the moment. So you might feel like you were kind of living in a colorless world with your sights set on something so beyond yourself. And just like the red balloon, it's just this thing. It's not, I think sometimes we get very hyper-focused on, again, kind of living from this place of when I get that, when I achieve this, when I finally make this much money, or when I finally have that house, or when I finally have the fame, or when I find, whatever it is, that there's this quality of we are so focused then or on that one specific thing to bring color to a world that we forget that we have so many other ways to engage with life, and there are so many other things that can bring color and beauty and joy to ourselves, and that we need to open ourselves back up instead of hyper-focusing on something that is almost kind of illusionary or imaginary in a certain way. All right, now I don't know if the rest of the message is going to tie into that, but when I do get intuitive hits, I like to share those at the beginning because it might resonate for some of you. All right, so now we're going to pull a card here. And to tap into the energy of courage, curiosity, we are going to build in a question around the energies of this card to take what is a very general message and individualize it for yourself, because this is going to be the question that you ask yourself throughout this week to bring awareness to some aspect of yourself that Spirit would like you to realize and reconnect with. And in asking yourself a question, hopefully by the end of the week you will have answered it in some capacity, and therein have a individualized message for yourself. It's like homework. All right, Aquarius, let's see. What do you need to be curious about this week? What? Very interesting, Aquarius. Of course, a red card would pop up, your red balloon. So it says soul power. Always remember, you're a soul that comes with a body, not a body that comes with a soul. Your soul is your true essence, and you have an unlimited supply of soul power at your command whenever you need it. Now, what is coming through very strongly right now, as I'm reading this card, I can see the red balloon coming within you. If this makes any sense. There's this quality here of perhaps that red balloon is you chasing yourself. And that this is a reminder to you that that's within you. What you feel you're chasing out here is actually already within yourself. You can directly connect to that feeling. So whatever feeling, now this is what I would want you guys to build in this question for yourselves. Whatever you feel that you are currently unable to feel now in your life, whether it's emotional fulfillment, whether it's a connection to abundance, meaning if this can be tangible wealth, it could be an abundance of feeling peace, just feeling, again, abundant, or whether there's a quality of wanting to achieve success, something along, whatever you feel is external to you right now that you can't connect with that feeling until you reach and grab this. This is almost like, and it's funny because it came up in Libra's message that I just did, this quality of, the Wizard of Oz, of thinking that you need something that's already within you. And you think of that, the scarecrow, and if I only had a brain, and yet he was the most intelligent out of all the characters. He already had the brain, but he felt he needed to go find it because he believed that his head was full of straw. Or Dorothy felt that she had to go someplace to help her get home, and in reality, she always had the power to go home herself. So there's a quality coming through for me here for you, Aquarius, that you are feeling that something that is already within you is out there. So you need to this week ask yourself that question. What does that balloon, that external red balloon, represent for yourself? And why do you feel that you can't currently experience that? And that's what's going to start, I think, to turn a corner for you, Aquarius, to realize you're already achieving that on some level. It already lies within you in some way. But maybe perhaps in engaging with it, it's almost like you have to bring that balloon back to yourself, bring it within, and bring color to your world again. And look around. It's almost like you're missing something in your external environment that you're meant to engage with that would give you that feeling. It's already there within you that you can engage with at any given time. But in fact, what's coming through very strongly is that there's something else in your life that's going to give you meaning. And you're so focused on something beyond yourself, whether it's achieving a goal, whether it's getting a specific job or advancement, or again, getting recognition for something. But there's this element that's coming through very strongly that that's not going to give you meaning. I think the meaning in your life has been lost in trying to chase something else. And there's this quality here right now that's coming through very strongly. It's actually very hard for me to verbalize it because it's so much, it's very strong, is there's something else in your life that is going to give you that sense of meaning, that sense of feeling a connection to your soul, of being able to, again, connect to your spiritual purpose. But it's something that you have had blinders on. And it's because you're not realizing that whatever you're chasing out there is already within yourself. And that could also look like feeling like, well, when I have enough education or enough training, or when I have enough of this, when I have enough social media followers, when I have, and it's like, no, you're already there. You already have had enough training. You've already, you don't, even just with the small social media following that you have, you can still utilize that in some capacity, but you have to switch focus. You have to realize that you can build, only you can create meaning in your life. Nothing external can create meaning. You build in the meaning. You tell yourself what has meaning and what does not. And I think this week, so that question is really, what is that red balloon? What part of yourself do you feel you are chasing that's eluding you? The feeling of a soul's desire or yearning or purpose that you feel is beyond yourself and that you can't feel currently. Powerful message. I love the imagery on this specific card as well. And it's always kind of this, I always feel almost like this looks like a microphone and a cord. I don't know why, even though it's the feathers from the bird. But there's this quality here of maybe even you having to speak, like publicly speak. It's almost like maybe you need to speak on a topic or something like that, but you need to come back to yourself, come back to spirit, come back to the realization that you don't have to achieve something down there to be able to speak from within here. If you want to vocalize something, just start sharing it. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull an energy oracle card to take us into engaging with the principle of courage. And courage is where we get to have the courage to take conscious action. What does that mean? That means that every tiny decision that we make throughout the day, we are conscious of the decisions we make and the actions we take and whether or not they are connecting to ourselves and within our own best interest. So this is to allow ourselves to step into and realize our place of personal empowerment in our own lives. This is where we get a chance to really change our lives if we want to. We get to take a look at all those little tiny decisions and actions and realize, okay, if I start to make different decisions and actions, better decisions and actions that allow my personal, internal, authentic self to better engage with my external environment, that's when I start to realize myself in my external. It's very hard to do that when you are not actively engaging yourself, when you're hiding parts of yourself, or when you're just not aware, when you're just going through your day, going through the motions. That's where we can wake up a week later, 10 years later, 30 years later, and realize, oh my gosh, who am I? How did I get here? I can't even remember. I'm not even aware of the decisions or the actions I made that snowballed to me getting to this place. Instead, we want to step into a place where every day we are actively engaged. And we feel that we're also in a place of power and control because we know that we can control our actions. We can't control the external environment and the people within it. That's our seat of destiny. But our internal environment is where we can have the courage to engage our free will with destiny. Oh, we have 3 cards. Okay, Aquarius. So we have first chakra, Archangel Michael. We have the Angel of Balance. And we have caring connections, which is beautiful. So there's this element here of, I'm seeing right off the bat, because I always feel like the first chakra, well, it says the first chakra, but with the root chakra and the Archangel Michael, there's this component here of, this is you. This is, when you think about tapping into your root chakra, the root chakra is who you are at a base level. And if that chakra is out of alignment, that is when we really step into a place of fear and anxiety, because we don't know who we are. We don't know we don't know even our own superpowers to be able to, that we have within us to be able to overcome challenges. So within us, there's always this, I always kind of look at Archangel, use my words, Archangel Michael as the warrior that's within us. This is us being able to utilize our internal strengths to be able to go out and overcome challenges successfully. So I'm seeing this as you versus you connecting with others, you allowing yourself to be loved. There's this element of almost being defensive over here, of and again, the red theme is coming up. There's this quality here of having to bring that red balloon back into yourself, re-engaging with your root chakra, who you are at a base level, remembering that you have the power within you. It's not external to you. The power comes from within. But there has to be a balance between you, the I, and the we, the connections between other people, and the vulnerability that we have to. So, you know, if Michael, no matter how great of a person or an angel he is, if he's constantly, you know, brandishing his sword every time somebody gets close to him, well, it's going to be very hard for somebody to care for him like this. So there's this quality here of understanding your own personal power, understanding that the power of you does not lie without in something external to you. It lies within yourself. But that also equally worthy is, or equally important in our lives, is also how we connect with others and how we can make ourselves vulnerable. And that caring connections that connection is, I believe personally. So I utilize the tenets of logotherapy in my coaching practice. And Viktor E. Frankl, who is the founder of logotherapy, he believed that ultimately it's man's call to meaning that really propel our lives forward, that we are each in search of meaning. I believe that I take that one step further. Yes, we do need to find meaning, because that's how we engage with life and that's how we feel personal connection to it. And it's also how we can feel fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. But I take it one step further in realizing or believing that it's man's call to connection. That's ultimately what we really need. You know, it's almost like when I think about, again, you can feel called to, let's say, engage in a creative hobby, and you can find meaning in maybe painting beautiful paintings or writing amazing books, or you name it, you know, making beautiful sculptures or wood carvings. And yet, if you never connect those pieces with others, if no one was ever to see them, it's almost like if a tree falls in the woods, does anybody hear it? Does anybody see it? And that's where connection comes in. We can see meaning for ourselves in something, but if we don't have a way to connect that with others, share it with others, then it oftentimes loses its meaning for ourselves. We end up not feeling like we are seen, and that's ultimately what I feel every person needs. We are all singular beings, and so we each want to be seen as what makes us a singularity. And we do that through connection. So there's this quality here, there's some aspect this week that you need to that you're being asked to remember. Spirit is asking you to remember that there's some aspect within yourself that's already there. You need to stop seeing that it's external to you, or seeing that it's, instead of focusing on, well, I have to keep training, or I have to keep doing this, or I have to, I have to get this many followers or this. No, just start speaking your truth. Just start experiencing what you feel is out external. Start experiencing it for yourself. If you feel abundance is out there, realize abundance is within here. Abundance comes from how we perceive our life, and you can change your perspective right now, as of this moment, to see abundance in your life and to see abundance in different places. Maybe you only recognize abundance being in one place, and in reality, abundance can come from many other places all around you. And that perhaps it's through opening yourself up to connection with others, to kind of put away that sword and balance out yourself with also your need to connect. And in order to do that, you're going to have to make yourself vulnerable. Michael may feel vulnerable putting away his sword, but ultimately it's Spirit's asking you to do this because it's going to be beneficial for you. So there's some aspect here of connecting with others. And maybe that is through, when I was kind of channeling here a little bit of that microphone quality, maybe there is something here about just starting to share your truth, starting to speak from your soul, and allowing yourself to connect to others in that way. And just being vulnerable. Not being defensive, not trying to, again, wait until you get X amount of followers to start really sharing yourself, or, start, waiting until you get that degree to actually start sharing this part of yourself within your place of work. It's about just being you, living as who you are, from a soul-based being, and engaging with whatever you felt was external to you inside yourself, and then connecting that with others. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes courage to be vulnerable. It takes courage to connect in general, but it's necessary, and it's what also allows us. The number 14 for me in numerology is the number of temperance, the temperance card in the tarot, which is about balance, but it's also what I like to call the almost divine intervention card. But there's also this element here of the number 14 breaking down to the number 5, and the number 5 is a number of change. And for me, I look at this as the number of freedom through change. And we don't get a chance to change and grow unless we connect with others that they bring in their own ideas and opinions, and they get to also elevate our message through perhaps the sharing of their own. And that's the beauty of connection. It's also the beauty of support. You look at this card, this person is supporting this person, providing them with a gift of beauty. So there's this quality here this week, Aquarius, of putting down your defenses and just connecting in the most vulnerable way from whatever place, whatever aspect you feel you haven't been able to fully step into. Just allow yourself to step into it, connect with it, and then connect that with others. And that takes a lot of courage. All right, so now I'm going to pull a card for the principle of contemplation. And contemplation is where we get to engage with active reflection. What does that mean? Well, that means that as we take conscious action, we then immediately engage with active reflection. And this is where reflection and contemplation are not just for those 30-minute meditation periods you build in twice a week into your schedule. This is where you get to actively reflect at all times throughout the day, so that you can engage in continual self-education through direct experience and engagement with your life. And this is important because you get to take an action where you are consciously aware, and then you get to immediately and actively reflect on the consequences or reactions of that action, so that then you can ingest that, learn from it, and immediately either alter your actions to get a better response, or continue to engage in that same action to get the same beneficial response. This is where the seat of contemplation, or the principle of contemplation, is where we get a chance to prevent ourselves from getting stagnant. It's also where we get a chance to continue to learn about ourselves. This is where we get to become self-aware and self-responsible for our actions, and how we begin to become aware that we make our life happen. That we are not a victim of circumstances. We are not a victim of anything, actually. We are empowered beings, empowered by our connection to spirit through our soul. We are empowered beings who are given everything we need to walk the path that we are given at the start of our lives. And we are given I like to think about, when you think about being on your path, at any given time, you're going to come up against obstacles, whether it's you have to climb up something and around it, or whether there's a bunch of trees in the way, or there's a bend in the road and you're afraid to go around it. But at any given time, we are within the divine design, with destiny. We are given, as we approach those obstacles, something within ourselves to unlock and to utilize. So imagine, it's almost like a video game. Imagine you walking down your path and all of a sudden you come up to a bunch of trees. And you're like, oh God, there's so many trees. I can't even get through it. I can't even see the path. How am I even going to know which way it goes? But then off to your right, you notice that there's a chainsaw. And you're like, man, I have never used a chainsaw before. That seems scary. I don't even want to try. And so instead of utilizing that chainsaw and cutting through the trees, which then would show you not only how to use the chainsaw, but also how to work with trees, but also allow you then to see where the path continues ahead, you turn and walk back the other way. And that's where you limit yourself from realizing your full potential of life, from going down your full life's path. You hold yourself back out of fear because you don't know how to use that part of yourself. So that chainsaw is actually a part of you. We are given obstacles by the divine design, destiny, in our external environment. And they can come in the form of situations and events. They can even come in the form of external people, of other people. But at each time we come up with these challenges, we are given something within ourselves that is able to be utilized and is being asked to be utilized for us to work with it, to practice, to learn. Just like we would need to learn how to utilize a chainsaw to be able to hack through these trees. Well, maybe now, once we've done that, we walk past that path, we walk past that part of the path, go around the corner, and we realize that there's a bunch of people who are stopped on their paths and are all kind of like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to get through. There's all these trees and brush. And you're like, I got it, guys. I have a chainsaw and I know how to use it. I had to use it back there. So let me show you all how to use it. And that's where we get to tap into our spiritual purpose. That is where we get the chance to really see, oh, I was meant to engage that part of myself that I wasn't aware of and wasn't practiced with to get over this obstacle so that then I can continue to utilize that to help others. And that's very important. It's a very important part of all of our paths. So we have the Great Gathering, and it says, it's all coming together, intuitive hits, soul tribe. I mean, I think this is a wonderful card to end the reading on and to think about contemplation, that there's this element here of you're being asked to connect with others and to get back in touch with yourself as a soul being, because you're going to start getting these intuitive hits. You're going to start to realize, as you're actively reflecting this week, as to kind of bringing color back to your world. Think of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz stepping into the land of Oz, and all of a sudden it's going from sepia tones to technicolor. There's that quality here of you kind of stopping and looking at your life and realizing, oh my gosh, there's so much more and I haven't been actively engaging with it. But that also in doing that, you're going to realize the people you need to connect to, and that's going to bring in your soul tribe. The more that you start to communicate and to live into whatever you have felt up to this point has been eluding you, and you connect that with others, well, that's going to bring in these people who are meant to connect with you. This is also, I feel like, going to be kind of your chainsaw moment, of where you get to see where this part of yourself that you were kind of clumsy with and weren't quite sure what to do with, you're going to see now how it can be of service to others. Powerful week, Aquarius. All right. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of the day as well as the rest of the week. If you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. Thank you for all your likes, subscribes, and comments. I greatly appreciate them. But also thank you for simply watching these videos. It means a lot to me to have a platform where I get a chance to share what gives me immense emotional fulfillment in feeling like I'm connected to my spiritual purpose in creating these videos. All right. Bye, Aquarius. Thanks.